Hello, everyone. Hello, Danica, Alicia, awesome. Ladies, this is so exciting. Yes. Thank you so much for all of you who came to this, for showing up live in this very cold evening. So, we are going to do a very special webinar today. So, Alicia, So I'm going to do just the introduction of what we're going to talk about today, and then Taylor is going to do the presentation for us. We're collabing on this one, which is so cool. And then at the end, I'll talk a little bit more about the Happy Hormone Club. Okay, so the topic for today, and I think all of you are so excited about this, train hard and feel smart. Specifically for women, ne? Such a big one. Sua. Okay, I think Taylor, let's go to the next one. I think in the chat box, I want to know who is new at the Happy Hormone Club, or if you have attended a webinar. So if you have attended any of my webinars or anything, you can just type a one in the chat. If you're new, you can type a two. There are a few familiar faces. I hope there's a few new ladies in here. That'll be cool. Alicia's new. Yes. Linda's new. You're so welcome here. Julle?
Maar
Okay.
krijg jullie dit zo kort? Hoe chat jij? I'm so new in this technology.
Die
Okay,
chat is at the
I'm
bottom.
one. Actually two. Okay, there we go. I'm two.
Does
There we go.
say. Perfect, Cora. Okay. So, an introduction to me. So, I'm the founder, the owner of the Happy Hormone Club. My name is Bia. And so, a quick story just to know why I'm doing this work is hormones change your life, right? For the good or the bad, especially if they're imbalanced. And this was my story. So I I was diagnosed with PCOS. Now it's called PMOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, when I was 20. I'm 34. So it's been many years of learning how my body works. So originally I was like, ugh, I was put on the pill to fix my hormones. It's not really how it works, but it was what happened. And eventually I really got a lot of negative side effects and all of it. And I thought, well, I am a scientist. I was studying environmental science. I thought I need to figure this out. So I went off the pill and I found this rhythm, eh? This rhythm that we all have. And I realized there's times of the month where I'm super social and other times where I'm not. There's a lot of things that change in the cycle rhythm. But I also really looked at the research into food and exercise and lifestyle to balance my hormones. And that happened. And 5 years ago, I quit my job as a environmental scientist and I started the Happy Hormone Club. And I've been working with women for the last 6 years, just loving that when women ask the questions that you're all doing today, hopefully, and we tap into what our body needs, there's so much healing that happens. So this is so exciting to spend this time with you. I always say we have to reunite the tribe. Like joining women in this it's beautiful. And we always used to sit around a fire and talk. So we don't have a fire now, but at least we're in this beautiful gathering. So thank you everyone for being here. And yeah, so this is me. This is the passion why I do this. And for this talk, I brought in Taylor. So she did my course last year, but she's on such a beautiful journey. Like Taylor, you're going to tell your whole story. You were a herbalist, you were a health coach, and we resonated quite a lot on, of course, the women's health side, but the exercise part. So that is why Taylor is going to really focus on that. Um, so I think that's me. We're going to do the presentation, then I'm going to share more about the membership, and then we're going to open the floor to questions. Okay. So Taylor, I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you for such a lovely intro. And Same as Bea said, thank you all so much for joining us this evening on a chilly winter night. It means a lot to both of us for coming through in dinner time. So my name's Taylor Ann. I'm a qualified herbalist, a women's health educator, and health coach. And strange story, I always thought I was very healthy. I exercised a lot, surfed, ran, did yoga, hiking. I had the best diet in my mind. I did all the herbs, all the supplements. I lived a very natural life, but there was something not happy in my body. I struggled with chronic and debilitating gut issues and IBS, hormonal problems and period pains and cysts on my ovaries and PCOS symptoms, and started taking things into my own hands. At least I did have the knowledge from the herbalism and started looking at things like blood sugar balancing, fueling enough food, healing your nervous system to eventually come to a place of more balance and more healing and being a lot happier and healthier. Sorry, my mouse is a little slow. So I thought I was doing everything right. And throughout all of that, I saw over 20 doctors. That was a combination of Western and your natural doctors, your holistic. And nobody could give me any answers. So some of my turning points, small ones that made such a big difference, was eating breakfast. It was moving caffeine to after breakfast. It was eating more food, not less food. Um, and it was having enough rest, sleeping enough, looking after my body. And today my hormones are a lot more stable. My cysts on my ovaries are shrinking, and my gut is significantly better. It's probably the best it's been in 10 years. Still not amazing, lots of room for improvement, but yeah, light years ahead from where I used to be. So tonight we're going to be looking at three topics or three mistakes. And these are something that I've noticed coming up over again, especially in the exercise realm. And number one is women are not small men. Now we know that, but I'll get into why I say that a little bit later. Number two is underfueling and training fasted. And number three is more is not always better. So that's looking at our rest. So our solutions to our problems are going to be fueling properly around our workouts. That's before and after. It's going to be looking at stabilizing our blood sugar and eating enough and training smarter, not harder, and working with our hormones. So I want you just to type in the chat box yes or no if this sounds like you. Are you exhausted despite doing everything right? Sleeping enough? Do you have constant cravings, bloating? Are you struggling with PMS symptoms? Do you have a missing cycle, or is your period very irregular? And that could be something that looks very short or very long. Do you feel guilty every time you rest? And are you exercising consistently but seeing little or no progress? So yeah, just throw it in the chat box if that relates to you. And here are just some emails from the responses of our webinar that Bea shared. And it was some women referring to the previous questions of no matter how hard they train or how clean they eat, their tummy fat won't shift. And they'd love to know more about nutrition and what foods are good to eat during their cycle and practicing Pilates and figuring out how to link being healthy, eating enough, doing the right nutrition and the right exercise. So, number one, looking at women are not small men. So, what I mean when I say this is that most of our research is all done on men, and that's in the pharmaceutical realm, but we're not going to get into that tonight. It's men make up roughly two-thirds of our exercise science and research. That means women are only making up about a third of that research. Then looking at athletic performance studies, women make up a whopping 3%. That means that 97% of the research and studies are all done on men. Yet that same advice, whether it be relating to nutrition, whether it be relating to how to exercise, how to train harder, it's all coming from a man's perspective, and we're using the exact same advice on ourselves. Why we can't do that is women and men operate on very different hormonal cycles. Men operate on a 24-hour hormone cycle, that's known as the circadian, and we do operate on that too. That's with men, it'll be their rising and dropping testosterone throughout the day. However, with women, we operate on a roughly 28-day cycle, can range from 24 to 35 days. So this means our energy, our sleep, our digestion, our metabolism, our hunger, everything is changing day to day, week to week. And we need to remember that and bring that into our nutrition and our exercise guidelines for throughout the month for ourselves. So, looking at mistake number one, underfueling. So, signs of underfueling can look like afternoon crashes, sugar or caffeine cravings, hormonal problems, poor recovery, and fearing carbs. So, carbs are not the enemy here. Yes, your protein does matter, but it's the timing of your carbs and what you're pairing it with that matters the most. Mistake number two is training fasted. And I know this might make people unhappy, but having a cup of coffee and then going and doing exercise is not serving your body. The research, the little bit of research that has been done on women, does not support training fasted. And why this is our cortisol, which is our stress hormone, is already pretty high in the morning. And that's just our body's natural response of trying to wake us up to get us going. If you add fasting onto that or the caffeine, you're adding extra stress and extra cortisol. And then if you're adding a hard workout on top of that, you're doubling, tripling, quadrupling your cortisol and stress load. So there has been a study done called an REDS research, and these are studies that have shown that almost half of the women that train fasted show signs of low energy availability. This means they haven't got enough energy to actually do the workouts they wanted to do. And another 59% report cycle disruption as a result. That can look like any type of cycle irregularities or hormonal problems. I do want to say that not every woman has to not train fasted. There are some women who can train fasted without any problems. But if you are someone who is struggling with things like PCOS, PMS, burnout, irregular cycles, if you have a very high stress job, your mom running around looking after four kids or one kid that is stressful enough, if you're having poor sleep, you will benefit from fueling before workout. And then we'll get into what that can look like in a little bit. Mistake number three, more is not always better. So more cardio, less food does not equal better results. And a missing period is not a sign that you're doing things right. Our recovery is actually what creates adaptation, and the magic happens in your rest. And your rest can look like relaxing on the couch, or it can be active rest, like walking, gentle strength training, playing tennis, being outside with your kids, your dogs, or just being under a tree. And your rest can often be your most important part. So, in the chat box, let us know if you feel like you might be doing any of these things or this is news to you. Maybe you've never heard of that training fast. It might not be the best thing for you. So let us know and tell us which one you relate to. I unfortunately can't open my chat box as I'm sharing my screen, so I'm sure Bea will read them all on my behalf and I'll read them afterwards. So getting into our solutions. Solution number one is fueling properly around your workout. When I first started getting into trail running properly, I was not fueling myself. I was the typical had a cup of coffee, would go to a crazy workout, and then wondered why I felt so terrible the rest of the day. And once I started working with a running coach, actually, and figuring out my own nutrition and fueling properly, it made the biggest difference in my exercise and in my training. And I'm probably the strongest and fastest I've ever been in my life. And it's all boiled down to eating more food. So, as I mentioned earlier, the research does not support training fasted for women. And again, all my English tonight, I'm so sorry. Most of the research that has been done on fasting that's shown the positive results, again, are all done on men. So, what this can look like to fuel properly around your workouts, if you're doing something high endurance or high cardio, where you're getting your heart rate going quite a bit, stick to your simple carbs. And that can look like bananas, dates, an apple, plain toast with some jam, a rusk. If you're doing something more low intensity, so that might be yoga, Pilates, strength training, you can incorporate some of the fats and the proteins, and that can look like a protein shake, a smoothie, some Greek yogurt, and fruit. If you're not a fan of eating breakfast and you struggle to eat in the morning, I'd recommend starting with something very small, even just one date or half a banana. And if you really struggle to get food in you, a spoonful of honey goes such a long ways. That's actually such a simple carb. Then after your workout, within your 1 to 2 hour gap, you want to be looking at including your proteins and fats now. And that can look like eggs on toast, Greek yogurt and berries, chicken and rice if you like something savory. Or if you are doing something like oats or a smoothie, make sure you do have some fats and proteins going in them. Okay. Food is not something you need to earn. We do need to be making sure we're eating enough every single day. And looking at your calories, that's not something I'm going to deal with tonight. But I do want to say that if you had to just sit on the couch doing absolutely nothing except breathing, your minimum calorie requirement is 1,200 calories to do nothing all day, to not even walk 5 steps. So if you are active, you're running around, driving around, you're doing workouts, you need to be eating a lot more food than that. And that fuel is going to be what supports you and benefits your workouts, making you fitter, stronger, faster. Solution number 2 is going to be stabilizing your blood sugar and again, making sure you're eating enough. So women are given this image to eat less and have low calorie, low carb, low fat. And the skinny talk on Instagram is absolutely terrifying. So I'm here to say that carbs are not the enemy, carbs are your friends, but it's how you eat them and how you pair them with your other foods that matter most. So a nice little rhyme from beer is to clothe your carbs. Never eat them on your own. Make sure you are pairing them with proteins and fats and fiber. And eating your food in a particular order also makes quite a big difference in curbing your blood sugar spikes and insulin spikes. So if you're eating a meal, make sure you're eating your veggies and your protein first and save your carbs for last. That might look like a little salad before your pasta. It might look like your veggies and chicken before your potatoes, etc. Also looking to increase fiber content. So we should be aiming for about 25 to 35 grams of fiber every day. And there's a lot of talk about protein at the moment, not a lot of talk about fiber. And find fiber that works for you. So whether that is in the form of vegetables, like butternut, sweet potato, broccoli, or you can do things like psyllium husk, flax seeds, chia seeds. Start small and work your way up to allow your gut time to adjust. If you are eating snacks, you can always apply the blood sugar rule as well. Never eat a carb on its own. So never just eat an apple on its own. Pair it with some nuts or nut butter. carrots, hummus, a boiled egg. That's going to help you keep your blood sugar stable. That's going to help you have fewer cravings, steadier hormones, better energy, better mood throughout the day. It's also going to keep you fuller for longer. So there is just a nice little diagram in the corner of the slide there, and that's just a rough estimate to make sure you are eating enough food. So that's a fist of carbs, a thumb of fat, two handfuls of veggies, and a palm size or hand size of protein. And if you build a plate according to that, actually quite a substantial amount of food. And that's what we should look at, how much we should be eating as active, busy, functioning women. Okay, solution number three, we're going to be looking at training smarter, not harder, and working with our hormones. So more workouts are not always the answer. I thought that for a long period of my life, working out every single day, sometimes twice a day, and almost seeing negative results. I was more tired than ever. My acne was very bad. I wasn't happy with how my body looked, etc. I was miserable, under eating, over exercising. So, looking at our rest again, the extra training without the recovery raises your cortisol and can store the adaptations that you actually want to train for. Looking at your strength training, this is one of the key areas for supporting hormone health. So it can improve your insulin sensitivity, lower elevated androgens, support bone density, regulate your glucose metabolism hormones, and benefits can show just after one session. To bring it back into cycle syncing, I'm sure many of you have heard pairing your workouts with phases of your cycle at the moment. It has been trending quite a bit. The research supporting that isn't too strong at the moment, showing that there isn't a great difference to training exactly with your cycle versus not. So I'm going to give you my opinion about this. I want you to work with your body and how you are feeling wherever you might be in your cycle. So the typical, if you're in your luteal, your PMS, you might be feeling tired, bloated, not energetic, ready for a workout. And some people in their luteal phases can actually smash a workout and hit some personal bests. So it is very personal dependent, and I want you to listen to your body. So what does consistently matter is your energy availability, and that comes from your fuel, from your food, how much you're sleeping, and if you're not overriding any fatigue or pain signals. So look for these signals that your body's telling you to back off. Is your sleep getting worse? Are you more irritable or anxious? Are your periods getting lighter or are they completely missing? Are you constantly sore? You're not feeling rested after your workouts? Are you catching every illness, dreading your workouts? These are signs to back off, not push harder. So a little gut check you can do before a workout. Let's say if you are menstruating, you are bleeding, you're feeling tired, you can ask yourself, am I feeling tired, bone tired exhaustion? Or am I actually just feeling a bit lazy tired? Would a walk serve me better right now? Or would that intense exercise actually give me some energy and make me feel a lot better doing it? So these are just questions to start asking yourself, figuring out intuitively what your body needs in that moment. And then we want to look at our our guilt. Guilt around rest and recovery and eating is common, but it is not useful. So just as you don't need to earn your food, you do not need to earn your rest. So I think the next one is a question. In the chat box, you can let us know which solution you are most excited to try. So is that fueling around your workouts? Maybe that's eating something before you train and eating afterwards. Are you looking to stabilize your blood sugar and fuel enough? And are you looking to train with your hormones? Train smarter, not harder. And maybe look at including more rest days. So let us know in the chat box.
Yeah, I'm going to read it for us. Okay, Alicia said, I'm excited to try and eat before workouts. That's a good one.
Amazing.
Marissa, I will try fueling half a banana before workout. Awesome. Linda, train smarter, not harder. Lekker, julle.
Awesome.
Session
Thank
2.
you all for sharing. I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do not need to choose between being fit, strong, and having a healthy body and healthy hormones. So there is a way to work with your cycle, not against it.
Mm.
And if you'd like to get in touch with me, I do offer one-on-one coaching, women's hormone and cycle support, and blood sugar balancing, and anything exercise related. So there's a barcode to scan there that will take you to my Instagram. It is very new. Um, I was working on something called the Cycle Sisters with a friend, but sadly she left me to go and do that in Guatemala. So I'm in the middle of creating something on my own. So my WhatsApp and my email is all there. Even if you have any questions and you just like to reach out, please feel free. I'm always so happy to chat. Okay. Thank you all so much. I'm going to hand over to Bea, and she's going to chat a little bit about our community or her community. And then we are going to do some Q&As at the end, unless you want to do it now. What are your thoughts, Bea?
I think let's see if there's a question already for you. So maybe let's do a few questions. Then I'll share about the membership, and then I'm going to open it up to more. Okay.
Awesome. That
So,
sounds good.
yeah. So the first question, Danica, was, have you found that walking after meals help?
Yes. So two benefits there. One will be for your gut and your digestion. Very good to do a slow little walk afterwards, just to actually help with that mechanical movement of digestion. And second will be for balancing your blood sugar. So walking after a meal or doing any type of exercise, whether it just be a couple squats or maybe walking around doing the dishes, can help to drastically reduce that insulin spike post-meal.
Mm.
So if you're having something very carby based with not a lot of fat or protein, one of the best things you could do is go for a little walk around the block just to help blunt that insulin spike a little bit.
I even want to contribute to that one because there's studies now showing that if we do like 10 squats after a meal, it's really so effective, né? That it bypasses the insulin from the insulin, well, your pancreas doesn't have to give you insulin because it goes into the muscles directly, the glucose, which is amazing for our blood sugar levels. So in the membership, we call it exercise snacks. We literally do that. We have like squats that we do, and yeah, it's really awesome. Okay, another question. Alicia, when you said that we should eat more, is that every meal or more just after the workout? Is it better to eat last meal earlier?
So very dependent on you and your lifestyle and how much exercise you are doing. But I think when I was saying women need to eat more, there's a big chronically under eating trend going on at the moment where we are trying to eat less and less and less. And the less you eat, your metabolism actually slows down to adapt to the lower intake of food or maybe the lower calorie intake of food. And you actually slow your metabolism down. So luckily you can reverse that by eating more food. And it does take your body a little while to adjust and you go through a transition period and then your body gets used to the bigger amount of food. So whether that is increasing portion sizes at every meal or maybe it's just breakfast, I would still try and keep your breakfast and lunch your bigger meals and dinner your smaller. And then it's always a good idea to eat at least 2 hours before you plan on going to sleep. And that's purely because your stomach takes at least 90 minutes to empty. And if you're eating a meal and you're lying down horizontally, it's not going to help with the digestion and your stomach emptying. You actually need to be sitting upright vertically. Not sure if that answers the question.
Yeah. Danica, I'm going to ask you, can you unmute and ask your question? Might be easier.
Hey.
Hello, yes.
Um, so I think the question is, we've learned that you have to feel before your exercise, but there's also information coming through from social media that it's best to exercise a little bit after your meals as well. So it almost feels like you have to pre-feel exercise, uh, eat then afterwards to feel your body like an hour afterwards, and then walk again.
So I think what maybe you're referring to is the exercise done after meal could just be the walk. And it doesn't have to be a half an hour walk in the forest. It could literally just be walk up and down the steps of I live in an apartment building and I mean, I maybe do it once a week. I can't say I commit to doing it every day, but I'll go for a walk down the stairs and up again. Or even if you're just moving around doing dishes, or you can do 5 squats or some calf raises. It's just to tell your body that you are moving a bit. But also do things that work for you. Again, listen to your body. If you're tired and you've eaten something and you don't want to go for a walk around the block, then listen to that feeling. It is difficult because there's so much conflicting information out there online, and everyone says, do this, do that, do this, do that, and listen to your body. If you eat a meal and you want to sit down on the couch, please listen to that.
Yes, Cara. Cara has a question.
I
Unmute
think
her.
you're on mute.
Awesome.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, so you said 2 hours eat before, well, you eat and then actually 2 hours before you go to sleep of your stomach is too full. So early in the morning, my question is early in the morning, so you wake up, the time period before you eat and go for exercise, né, to have your prep meal like a banana will be then in an hour time. You exercise and then you come back and you have your breakfast. Or does it make sense that I'm asking?
Hmm. It depends what exercise you're doing again. If you are doing quite a intensive exercise, you're going for a long run or a cycle, or you're planning on doing a HIIT workout, you can actually push your meal a little bit closer because as
To
your body burns that simple carb, you're going to be putting into action straight away. Whereas if you're doing something a bit more of a less intense, especially cardio, like Pilates, yoga, strength training, you can have a longer and a wider gap. So then you can look more at an hour before.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, for me, it takes me about 15 minutes to drive to the mountain where I run. So I eat some oats or a banana and then I drive there, and that's about 15 minutes. So personally, for me, that's what works. Yeah, if you are doing your intensive exercise again, stick to your simple carbs, as the fat and the protein can slow your digestion, and that's not things you want with your high cardio. And if you are doing the lower intensity cardio stuff, then you can include your fats and protein there. But then, yes, afterwards, looking at eating about 1 to 2 hours afterwards. I'd say 2 hours maximum. Men can last a lot longer without food after training. The body doesn't need it as quickly. Women need it a lot quicker for our recovery. And if you are working out and you're not eating for 3 to 4 hours, that tells your body that there's not food coming after it's done an intensive exercise. And your body actually conserves more energy, more fat, because it's scared it might not get fuel afterwards straight away. So if you eat very shortly after your workout, you are actually benefiting your metabolism in the long run.
Mm. Yes. We have another question. Narissa, I think everyone can just ask a question if you want. You can unmute. We, as I can someone vra.
Thanks. So I just want to make sure because this eating before training is new to me. Um, so you said before you do cardio, simple carbs, before yoga, protein or fat. So I do mostly, well, I do 4 times a week. I do strength training. What's the best? Can I have a protein shake before strength training? I usually have yogurt and protein shake afterwards, but I'm not sure what to have before strength training.
Yeah. You can still do your simple carbs again, toast, banana, rusk. If you are wanting something with a protein, then you can do a banana and a boiled egg, or try and find foods that you enjoy and you're used to eating, and then shift that around your meals. I wouldn't recommend introducing something that you're not a fan of. Let's say if you hate boiled eggs, please don't start trying to eat boiled eggs for
Protein
your
shake would be okay, right?
yeah, a protein shake.
Okay.
And then you can keep your yogurt for afterwards. Um, or some fruit. You can stew some fruit, stew apples, pears, put that in a smoothie.
Okay, sorry, I'm just gonna make sure I get this right. Earlier you said don't ever eat banana, an apple without a protein or a fat. So so you wouldn't have just an apple before or just banana before training. I'm getting
You
confused. Sorry.
are 100% correct. And I'm so glad you actually asked that question. So when you are not exercising, then always clothe your carbs. But when you are eating food or carbohydrates around exercise, your body breaks those sugars down and it puts it straight into your muscles, which then use it. Bea can jump in if she wants to add more on this. So then it is actually okay and more beneficial to eat it on its own because your body absorbs that sugar and it utilizes it immediately. Whereas if you just eat an apple when you're sitting at a desk, you're not moving, your muscles aren't engaged, and now that glucose sits in your blood for a lot longer and your body has to process it, which is where the challenges and the difficulties come in, if that makes sense.
Yes, I'm totally with you now. Thank you.
Awesome, of course.
Can I ask a question? So I've heard that especially before training, it's good to eat like low fat snacks, as fat takes longer to digest. And if you're then working out, it might be, your body might be busy trying to digest the fats and then you're working out. So is it better to, I know that we said like, before going for a run or something, it's good to eat carbs, but is it then better not to have like a yogurty, snack that has fats in it before even strength training?
So, in my personal opinion, I'm not for anything low fat.
Mine too.
I think our body really needs the fat, our hormones really need the fat. And in your low fat products, there's often a lot more fillers and sugars and nasties, to put it that way. Um, so to support low fat, I can't do that, unfortunately. I'm sure there are good low fat products out there. That's just something through my research and my personal journey, I'm not for. I think Bea also agrees.
Mm.
No
Never
low
like that.
fat. Yeah.
Never.
It sometimes has got often, or most of the time, it's got worse stuff in it.
Okay. But then, if I do eat yogurt, but I eat like, double cream or full cream yogurt, is it then still best to avoid, like fatty snacks before exercise? Like, does it make it more difficult for your body to put the energy into the exercise if you've had like a fatty, snack before you exercise? Or does that not necessarily, put extra strain on your body?
Yes. So your body's going to get that instant energy from anything that processes into glucose. And the simplest form of that are your simple carbs. So if you are wanting to do something full fat, then make sure you've got some form of carbohydrate with that, even some honey in your yogurt, or some berries, or a banana, or a rice cake, an oat cake, or even some granola. Granola will be oats, which is carbs, and often they've got some sugar in it. So then you can pair your fat with a carbohydrate, which will give you that energy that your body needs for the workout.
Maybe the question, Linda, what type of exercise do you do? Is it more like running type of stuff, or is it, yeah, what type of things? They can also help.
Yeah, so it's a mixture. So I do some running, but then I also do, some strength training.
For your running, I'd always stick to simple carbs before. I'd avoid anything with fat, especially low fat.
Okay.
Just your digestion slows down when you are running. So if you're adding
Okay.
anything that's going to take a long time to digest, you're going to end up with the digestive complaints and upset stomach, bloating, and things like that.
Okay.
So I'd avoid your fat then. If you're doing strength training, you can include your fat then. Just make sure you've got a carb to go with it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Any last questions? And then if you think of any while Bea's chatting, we can always answer some last ones at the end.
Yes. Okay, you'll post them in the chat box. Anything else? Danica has a question. So I have this discount for you for everyone who joined live. So the juice products are normally, if you have insulin resistance, they're very helpful. If you have PCOS, of course, they are more beneficial. And that was Danica's question. Do they help? Everyone is, I love Danica. Yes, I missed you. So yes, they help if you have insulin resistance. This specific one, because it's inositol. So they do have different hormone balancing ones. I mean, I have had a few clients where inositol is not what works for them better. Something like berberine or something different. So I think the question, Danica, will be if you don't have insulin resistance, that might not be it. But it might be super helpful. I do have clients that use it, that they lose weight easier, they have more energy, and their cycle starts to regulate. So, yeah, it's good to try it out. And if it doesn't work, that's also fine. There must be something else that we can try. Okay, maybe you should chat afterwards, Tanika. Okay. So, Taylor, this was amazing. Like I learned a lot, especially I think the changing our mind about carbs, eh? Big one. Very, very big one. So I love to collab with women that have embodied the wisdom. Like, and this is exactly why the membership is so powerful. So I collab in the membership with another lady, Rose, as well. She does nervous system regulation. So it's all about plugging in these puzzle pieces for you to have a holistic approach. So Taylor's also going to do this beautiful presentation for my members, and then she's going to support them in that, which is really, really great. Because the big thing about my membership is that what I've learned over the years, we always feel so excited after this, like a talk like this, né? We feel pumped. And then we go into our lives, and then we sort of just continue with what we do. So the support is always the thing that we need, and that's why getting the tribes, getting it in the membership is so beautiful. So, Taylor, just go on to the next one and just see what did I put in here. I'm just going to quickly run over what's included. So all the things in the membership is master classes like this that we did today. I bring specialists in, I do a lot of things on blood sugar or gut health or liver health. We always go deep into all the things that women need. We have weekly coaching calls. Rose also does like somatic, the nervous system stuff every second week, and I do coaching calls in the other 2 weeks. And then Taylor's going to do another week for us. So it's going to be a jam-packed July, which is very cool. Then, of course, we have the recipes, and I always focus on whole foods. So, fiber rich, balanced blood sugar, those things. And only post meals, like all of those type of things that keeps you full and healthy and happy. Okay, next one. So, just for you to understand really what we've built into this is quite exciting because if we look at the value of masterclasses with all the specialists we have, it's quite big values, né? Like if you pay for that in a month, you'll probably pay 1,000 rand. The coaching, if you have specialist coaching, what did I put there? Just go to the next one. Yeah. If you have coaching and you do all of the weekly coaching, you're probably like 3,000 rand a month. And the meals, if you have a dietitian that you work with, probably like 2 grand. So just to have a value of what we included in this is like 6,000. But I made it very, very affordable. So the membership is only 480 rand a month and it includes it all. So you have the access to us on a weekly basis. We have a beautiful platform that looks like Facebook. And I'm very, very specific about how positive it is. For me, that's a big thing that women need because the Facebook groups out there, I mean, I know when last did you join a Facebook group and it's just sucked into all the negative chats, né? And the overwhelm. So the big thing about this community is that it's very, very positive and everyone is just rooting for each other, which is very, very cool. So that is what we've built and what we're really excited to have all of you in. So just want to see if there's anything else that I shared in this. If there's any questions about the membership, please let me know. Yeah, we have it's a monthly subscription, but you can also sign up for 3 months, which is always nice. A seasonal package is nice because 3 months, you see a big change in the things that you implement. I think the big thing, Taylor, I mean, you have to also do the work, né? You have to now eat your banana and see what happens. So the thing about that is you can try it and then we can talk about it inside. That's the beauty of it. The support is always the thing that is so beautiful. So what I want to offer you today as well, if you join, and I think I put a date there. What did I say? Okay, oh, that's what you find, that's what you get. So if you join before the 6th of July, when did I have that? Next Monday, y'all. If you sign up for the membership, then I will offer a free one-on-one, which we can go through your whole questionnaire. We can look at what do you need so that you also feel super, super held and all the stuff that you then implement that we know it can work. So I'm definitely, for everyone who joined live, I'm going to offer that. So thank you again for everyone who joined. I think we can now open the floor last time for any questions. And then, yeah. Also, I wanted to know is there something that stood out for you, ladies, in this? Was it valuable? Did you learn something? Thank you. Okay, I'm keeping the chat open.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
an analogy that I live by is when you get in your car and
Yeah.
you drive to the shops or to your friend's house or wherever you need to go, you wouldn't drive your car with no fuel in it or petrol in it, even with the crazy petrol prices at the moment. If you were out of fuel, you'd go to the petrol station and you put some petrol in your car.
Yeah.
So the same thing applies for your body. You
Mm,
wouldn't drive your car with no fuel, so
mm,
you can't drive your body with no fuel in it either.
mhm.
And if you want to go and do your workouts and your strength training and you want to be a fit, strong, healthy woman, you need to put the fuel in first so that your body then can go and flourish pretty much. Yeah, so it's an analogy that I started living by and it made a really big difference.
I love it.
Can I ask a quick last question about that? So I'm loving the concept of feeling your body, but is it old school that we've been taught that if you don't eat before you train, then your body will use the fat you already have to fuel itself? So, I mean, that's why we train without feeling it, right? That's why we do faster trainings because you want to burn the fuel you already have from your fat around your body. Is that complete nonsense?
It's not complete nonsense. It's just all the research is done on men. So for men, it burns their fat. For women, it stimulates a stress response and it tells our body that we're in a state of stress and it increases our cortisol. And then our body does not burn the fat. Instead, it can actually cause you to gain weight in the long run if you are putting too much of that stress on your body. So it's not wrong, it's just not right for every woman. As I said earlier, some women can train faster and it works really well for them. But if you are a highly functioning woman, you're working a lot, you're not sleeping super well, you have any hormonal issues, then it's not something I would ever recommend doing.
Can I say something there?
Please.
Because the interesting thing is also when we look at where we store fat. So when our cortisol is high, we normally have the fat around the middle. And that's quite that indication of it can be or high insulin, so they might be insulin resistant. And women transition from reproductive years into the wisdom years, the menopausal years, to be more insulin resistant. So then, of course, our insulin, we have to work on that as well as a route. But if the cortisol is imbalanced and that's high, the body will definitely store it around the middle. So that's a simple way of sort of just gauging where, if it's stress hormones that you're pushing in, but you like even exercising harder and it's not budging, then it can be also a sign. Mm, yeah. And then last one on that, can I say one more thing? Just on the cycle, because we're back engineering the cycle, right? The cycle, our menstrual cycle tells us so much. And if it shifts or moves or it changes, like it's heavier or it's missing, that's definitely a sign that we can, yeah, we have to check in with our exercise. We have that power as women at least. Okay, let me just check the chat. Any other questions, lady? This was really informative. Taylor, I loved it. Thank you. Thank you again for all your time. Enigiets anders, julle sharp? Okay. Have a good night, everyone. Take care. Hope to
Thank
see
you
you.
all so much for joining us on a cold winter night. And I hope that you leave with something that benefits you and you can become stronger, fitter, healthier women.
Thank you to you. This was really insightful.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you so much.
Dankie julle.
Dankie. Bye.
Lekker aand julle.
Selfde.
Bye.
Oh, julle, ek gaan nou uitsaai en ek weet net nie hoe nie.